European Committee of European Commission, no, Commission of European Community in July, which posed several questions. They didn't give any answers, but they had various questions. And one of those questions was, does the transmission of a work over the electronic network constitute a reproduction of the original work? So in Europe, it is still a question whether it is against the copyright law when you simply look at somebody's work over the network. Now, in Japan, this is again a question. Many lawyers in Japan are still discussing that. So very clearly, the US is very, very strong in making sure that any transmission of information over the network is one way of reproduction of the work, original work. So this is one point. And secondly, the US is one of the very few countries which has very strong copyright law, which originally required the registration of the original work for obtaining the copyright status, right. So the so-called C with the circle is, according to the UCC, Universal Copyright Convention, is rather strictly used in, broadly, widely used in the US, but not in other countries. So in Japan or in any other European countries, and maybe in Asia, there is no requirement that you put those marks in your work. You simply create a work and you are the author and the owner of the copyright. So this is rather difficult situation for you to introduce your trans-copyright mark, because that would be the first mark you are requested to put into your original work. And thirdly, the virtual reuse or the pointing to somebody else's work is an interesting phenomenon, which is being widely used in internet. And this is something that should be, I believe, that should be handled by the copyright law somehow. And I'm very much interested in your approach, but I'm not sure whether Japanese or European people would consider it as an act which would be regulated by the copyright law. In other words, many of the people outside the US would think that you can freely, without any payment and without any permission, put a link to anybody else's work. So this is a kind of a situation, I think. Yep. So even though I'm very much interested in your proposal outside of the US would make people think that you are, in a sense, in favor of the authors, copyright owners, because the users in general have been able to make use of those works without any payment, without any permission. Now they are going to pay some nanobucks. So it is not free.
Well, thank you very much for those useful comments. Let me make a few things clearer. First of all, the term trans-copyright is convenient in this notation, and I'm only proposing the term as a shorthand way of giving these permissions. The way, for example, that the term shareware is a shorthand way of saying you may share this disk. And everyone understands what shareware is, and so it has legal status. And if I've managed, well, I think I've already established the trans-copyright by talking about it enough, so it's developing a quasi-legal status, and any other phrase would do as well if it could be accepted. But I never wanted to restrict anyone's links to objects, and I don't think you can. There's no way to restrict that. What I'm talking about is including material in your own. So that if you want to quote or put someone else's picture or someone else's text inside your object, that is the difference. And within the existing copyright system, there are two things required. One is a method of sale that would allow everyone to purchase just those pieces. And the other is the permission of the copyright holder, which in the existing law is necessary to allow you to put the material in a new context. So the trans-copyright proposal simply answers that last part by giving blanket permission for everything to be reused in any new context, clearing the way for fragmentary sale of materials to be composited in virtual copies by users. So that's different from the linking issue. To make a link into something is easy. Unfortunately, you can't see where the links come from. That was always built into Xanadu, that you could see where the links came from. And so that's one of my other dissatisfactions with the web. But I think a number of people now are working on the problem of following link connections backwards. Did I answer some of those points?
Is there any other discussion?
Yes. How do you see the copyleft proposed by GNU project?
I think it's great.
Great.
Yeah, look, I want people, whoever wants to give things away free, I think that's wonderful. Oh, that was also speaking to your previous point. You were saying that people are used to things being free on the net, and now there's going to be a charge. That's not quite right. They're used to everything which people put free on the net, but many things were not put on the net because there was no way. I totally approve of anyone who gives things away. It's just that I want a form of commerce for those who want to get something back, and a simple, cheap form of commerce, unlike these people who think they're going to charge $5 for a web page. That's ridiculous. So, some way you can pay a very small amount and reuse the material.
So is there a trans-copyleft?
That's interesting. I had a long argument with Richard Stallman about this. In 1984. but I greatly approve of what they've done. It's just wonderful work. And the point is that they have also developed their own permission doctrine. So copyleft is a permission doctrine. Trans-copyright is a permission doctrine, and shareware is a permission doctrine, and any other one that you can think of that will facilitate people being able to spread their material around will be a good thing. The copyleft has been adjusted, I believe. It was originally in a stronger form that made no one want to use it because it prevented the reuse of the code in ways that Stallman had wanted to encourage.
Yes.
Do you think trans-publication can apply to software?
Sure, of course. My concept is that you could reuse it for any purpose, and that is built into it. So if you wanted to put repurposable code out there in a trans-copyright framework, it would work. It should work perfectly well. Now, good ideas and what works sometimes don't always match, and especially since there's so much politics and control in the situation, and the politics of Netscape is absolutely astonishing. I didn't understand what they were doing a year ago. I had breakfast with Jim Clark, who's president of Netscape, but I wasn't aware of his master plan. So I feel foolish for not having seen it. But yeah, the software should be available more freely. It's very difficult to distribute software. But the greater issue of that is also a paradigm problem. Because, see, everyone is in favor of component software, but that doesn't answer the big question. Who makes the rules for the components? And there are about 10 or 12 systems of rules. There's Unix, there's Macintosh, there's PC, there's mainframe, there's AS400, there's Forth. You can distribute things in all sorts of different languages, so each of those is a paradigm. And you are walking into the set of rules that goes with that language. And the problem is always that everyone else thinks they have a better possible set of rules. And so it's a political software issue. The brilliance of Bill Gates consists of having taken tired technology and made it look important. The program he bought for $50,000 he sells for $50 million a year or something.
Is there any other questions or comments? No? Okay. And how about demonstration?
Oh, I don't have much to demonstrate. It's a good thing I did here. I think, no. Yeah, I think so.
Unfortunately, he has brought some Macintosh version, but the projector is not in good condition. So
let me explain also that the demo that we have worked up runs only on the sun. And since you wanted me to talk about the history of this, I didn't know that we should video that. It's not running at full speed yet.
okay. So okay, let's finish his talk. Thank you very much. So would you again?それでハンドアウトがそこに3通ありますから、もしまだ取ってない方はお待ちください。
Yes, if anyone is interested in working on these concepts, please keep in touch with me. Give me your name.
すいません。ダットに落として、だからダットに落として、ダットで貸してあげればいい。ダットならじゃあ全部入っちゃった。74万。じゃあ、明日僕来るんですけど、はい、メールで、メールで、ミスなんですけど、はい、SHB、SFC の感じがちょっと違うんですよね。来年します。SHB の0156。じゃあもしあれならば一緒にこのビデオもありました。貸してもらえたらすごい嬉しいです。VHS もいいですか？はい。じゃあもし間に合ったら、はい、お願いします。彼の方と一緒に。はい。じゃあお願いします。本番あたりで。はい、お願いします。
提案ですか？